Hopkins and him and all that great music, the Staple Singers and all that stuff.
So where did you hang with him? Did you go to his room?
He had the top floor of a hotel opposite in Inglewood, opposite the Forum.
Were you nervous to meet him?
No.
No. And you sit down and what, like a couple hours, you just shoot the breeze with him?
No, we didn't sit down. We stood up all the time. It was like one of them royal suites that you have in America. You don't have a kingdom here, but by the looks of it, something's going on this really weird. And you got this great the whole top of the floor of the hotel.
Right.
Was just for Elvis. So he had this great long suite, and they'd taken the tables out, and they'd filled it with couches. And as we went in there, we realized that slowly, the room was filling up with women.
Yeah.
Mostly, and Elvis's dad, Vernon. And and all the women looked like Sandra Dee, more or less. It was.
He had a type.
Yeah, so did I. I was going, wow, what great taste.
Yeah. And, like, where did these women come from? But they're just there.
Well, fancy that. What a nice gift.
Yeah.
And so pen friends we became. And when the room was suitably full, the door at the end of the suite kept opening and the head kept peeping out. And when it was just the right room temperature, when the room was buzzing with anticipation, the door opened and this guy just, I don't know what the word is. It's not sachet, it's not slink. It's just...
floated?
He just grooved his way through the people, and his hips were moving as he went, and he was twinkling his eye. He'd done it.
Yeah.
And there we were, and we just stood in a circle for about, I guess, 2 hours, just talking.
Is that the great theme about fame, especially when you're young, that you get access to people like your heroes?
Not particularly. I think we always avoided people.
Right.
We're British, and, we were. I don't know what I am now, but I'm sort of mid-Atlantean, I think. But
are you living here now?
No, not anymore.
No.
You live in England now, right?
Yeah, I tried to live here.
Yeah.
You lived where, in Austin? Yeah. A couple of years.
Yeah.
And? Not great?
No, wonderful. Really good. But I didn't think I don't think I was man enough for the gig, And also I didn't have enough suntan lotion. And
right.
It was very...
It is hot there. And were you bored there after a while? Like, I sense you're like a world traveler, I always had that feeling about you whenever I, buy your records or when you went off solo and, all of a sudden.
No, there's so much everywhere in every country that you don't expect. And West Texas and going down towards into Big Bend, and those parks down there and all that
it's
stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Don't take your pet into Big Bend. They say, and whatever you do, if you do, don't let it out of the car because of the mountain lions. So, of course, being British...
You brought that. Okay, would you bring your dog or something?
No, I bought my girlfriend's dog.
Was that the end of the dog?
No.
They made it.
It was great. I really liked it, but I couldn't hack it.
Do you think, do you think Jimmy Page was the great love of your life? Now, seriously, when two guys... No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, it was such a marriage. I'm hung up on this. The two of you guys together, you made beautiful music together, like they say about a man and a woman. You made beautiful music together. The odds of the two of you finding one another are 1,000,000,000 to 1. You get together, you grow up musically. You create this body of work that is mind-blowing. Brings chills to me right now, as I say, to think of all of the great albums and how important those albums were to me. But Paige, I don't know what the relationship's really like and why you guys don't tour and stuff, but it seems to me that you share a love. What you created, it's like creating all of these children together, these songs.
Yeah. Well, you know what, I think it's... serendipitous, really. That's a big word for this time of the morning.
Especially for this audience.
Geez, I'm so tired as well. Yeah, steady. It's done you all right, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I was always looking, like when you were talking about me putting the blacktop down on the street, people were pointing at me and going, "What you going to be then?" And I said, "I'm going to be really good." And being really good doesn't mean to say you're going to be successful. It just means I wanted to learn and expand, as did Bonzo. We were looking for
You and Bonzo were the first two to hook up. You were in a band together.
Oh, yeah, 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
And what a drummer he was.
Stunning, yeah.
Like, really maybe the best rock drummer that ever lived. Let's be honest, because he wasn't doing what other drummers were doing. He was doing more like a jazz drummer.
he was really into Elvin Jones, you know, and he was into, what's the name of the guy who used to play with Little Richard, Earl Palmer. He had just great chops.
Great chops.
But he was trying to get away from me all the way through our teenage years, because I was kind of doing all right around the place,
right?
Because I had a lot of front.
Right.
I was standing at the sharp end of everything, giving it large, but nobody was giving a hoot about it really. And he came up to me one night. I was playing at a gig in the Black Country, and he said, you're all right. You're not too bad. You'd be a lot better if you had the best drummer in the world. I said, well, anybody would, yeah.
Right.
I said, where's he to be found? He said, you're looking at him. I said, what a piece of work you are. And I said, okay, well, let's see what you can do. Where do you live? And he told me the town he lived in. I said, well, that's half a gallon of gasoline away from where we intend to be.
And you have to consider that.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, but you can't join the band. Because, that was how it was. You just, you got what you could get. But going back to Jimmy, I suppose, it's like a catalytic thing. You don't really ever know what's going on around you until you get down deep into stuff. So the roots of the music that we all liked, it was very similar, That's
what brought you together.
Yeah. Well, that's what, apart from the fact that we all had a gift.
Yes.
So, if anybody wasn't going to make it, we'd have known from the very first note that we ever played.
Isn't it almost like...
Oh, by the way, I've got a record out.
Yes, we're going to get to that record.
We're going to talk about it.
You're going to be here for like 17 hours. We're going to go all the way through your life.
We're never letting you go. This is it.
This is it. You're never going to do another interview. You're going to be so burnt out after this.
Do you think I like this sort of shit?
I don't know. Do you? You know what, though? I get, when I was watching you, when President Obama, Led Zeppelin, Letterman...
What was that, the Kennedy Center?
The Kennedy Center Honors. I'm watching that, and I've watched this video 50 times when Hart is singing Stairway to Heaven. And you're sitting next to Jimmy, and really their performance was a pretty damn good performance. I could tell you guys were into it. And you even shed a tear. And now listen, I've watched that clip 50 times. What are you thinking about? Are you reflecting that Hart sounds good? Or are you reflecting about Bonzo Bonham and saying, God, I wish he was here with us? There was something that moved you, and I'm dying to know.
Well, what it was his boy was playing drums.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes. And you see, when I just recounted that story, me playing in a dance hall, and him standing and telling me about where he was at and what he could do for me, I thought all those years later, that it was just one ridiculous loss. And his boy is an excellent drummer. And me and Bonzo knew each other from the age of 16, so we couldn't even drive. We had a guy drive us in a van and together. Oh, that's interesting noise. Yeah, that's your mic. You can make a song out of it.
Yeah, and so we were together all the way through, often at loggerheads, often taking a swing at each other.
Right.
And all that stuff. But we were there in it all, like kids are,
right,
all the way through. So that day there was a lot of emotion in the air for me and for everybody, I'm sure,
So the thing
I wasn't a convincing comedian at that stage in the proceedings, but I'm getting ready for my new career now, doing this slapstick shit. So really...
but what you're saying is, here's John Bonham, who at 16 you meet, who is a kindred spirit. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You guys met each other along the way on the road. And to be 16, and you dropped out of school, which I don't know how you had the balls to do that. Did you go home and tell your father, I'm dropping out of school to be a musician at 16?
Well, I didn't know about the word musician's a very, very big, responsible label. I just wanted to sing. It's like Monty Python, and the Holy Grail, when the king is pointing out of the castle tower and he sweeps his hand across the horizon, and his son's standing there, fey, effeminate, and looking for a gig with the Human League, and he goes, one day all of this will be yours. And as he sweeps his hand across, he touches the curtains, and his son says, what, the curtains? He said, I just want to sing, the son said.
Did school bore you? Because you knew what you wanted. No, it's just at 16 I have to go do this thing.
Well, there were certain subjects at school I really loved, and I followed that through right the way through. At one point, before I got